Adults 18 and over in British Columbia will no longer be subject to criminal charges for the possession of up to 2.5 grams of certain illegal drugs for personal use, and the drugs will not be confiscated.
When you penalize people simply for using drugs, you make things worse. So if a person is found to be using opioids and arrested and put in jail, that person will go through withdrawal. They will suffer tremendous misery. Upon release from jail, they will use again at the first opportunity, often having lost some tolerance, and they're at extremely high risk of overdose death after that period. And now they got a criminal record, and so trying to gain employment becomes more difficult. And so I think the stigma around opiate addiction has, it's in part due to the fact that opioid use is illegal. So it's not going to be a panacea, but I think if you want to have a serious discussion about addressing the opioid crisis, you have to also recognize that arresting people simply for using drugs is counterproductive. We don't criminalize people for drinking alcohol, and we don't arrest people for smoking cigarettes, even though those are harmful behaviors. Drug use has been around for as long as there have been drugs. People have been using drugs, and this is not to condone drug use, but people are going to use them. And if they're going to use them, I think a focus on harm reduction, helping fewer people be harmed by their addiction and the drugs they use, is really the way to go.
When somebody accesses the illicit stream of opiates, they may think they're getting heroin, but it's mostly fentanyl now, and it's not sterile, and the dose is not standardized. So people wind up poisoned or dead.
Whether it's a safe supply drug or not, it always has a negative impact. It is robbing you of dignity. It is robbing you of life, every injection. From a Christian perspective, from a biblically informed perspective, I know this. Jesus says the thief comes to kill, steal, and destroy. The drugs, the poverty, the mental health issues, the emotional states, the despair, everything associated with addiction and poverty is stealing people's lives. It's robbing them of life and of their God-given dignity. But Jesus says, I've come that you can have life and have life to the fullest, have the abundant life, he says. I think what the church does really well, at least here in our context, and probably anybody who has been involved in church for a long time, is that church is really designed around relationship with God and one another, right? That dividing wall of hostility has been torn down. Once you were not a people, Peter says, but now you are the people of God. You used to just be individuals out there on your own, but he created us in his image for relationship. God is in relationship with himself, 3 in 1, and we're created for relationship. And so it's in those relationships, with Christ at the center, in those loving relationships, where we can invite people to come and belong with us and build those relationships in that community that people so desperately need and desire. Unfortunately, the church hasn't done that really well. We build buildings and we build programs and we say, come and see and come to our program, rather than entering into relationship with people, intentional, quality, Christ-centered relationships with people of healing and hope where they are at.